Greetings and salutations, Mr. 411. How are you doing today?
Doing great, calculator. How about yourself?
Excellent. Man, we just cut it in just in time. I tell you, I tell you, technology is something else. That's all I'm going to say. But hey, we got a great slate of picks for the people. We try to get out there, try to get to the people the information as best we can. You got your schedule, I got my schedule, but hey, we're going to make it happen, aren't we, Mr. 411?
Absolutely, man. That's the only way we know, man. That's the only thing we know is to make it happen, and that's what we're doing today. So yeah, we're gonna go through the line. You got the whole sheet of games here, list of games that
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna go through. And man, I'm just excited about it, man, and so glad you're able to get it in for everybody for the friendly wagers. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so we'll run through a lot of the other stuff real quick. Make sure you just hit the QR codes and follow us, Mr. 411, on TikTok and on Instagram. Mr. 411. And hey, it's time for week 9 and calculator. The floor is yours, man. You can do your thing, man. Friday
Oh,
night
hey,
lights.
Friday. Oh, and not just any Friday Night Lights. We're getting a double header Friday Night Light because yours truly, the home team is back in town. So that means yours truly will be at the French fry station frying up some fries for the people enjoying a Peach County division matchup. So what I'm going to say is, well, okay, I'm not going to be able to watch the first game, but I'll be able to watch another one. So I say, hey, if I'm going to be into it, I'm gonna look into it because I want to make a friendly wager. I want to be excited about games. So it's like, hey, if I'm going to use that information, I'm going to give it out to the people. But hey, you can't. Even though I'm going to be frying up some French fries for the people in Peach County, I I I you I hate to miss a Mountain West showdown. The two best teams, the Boise State Broncos at the UNLV Rebels. Folks, they were the powerhouses last year. They're going to be, and last year, they went to the championship game, and yours truly, I was on the Nevada Rebels. I was on the Running Rebels last year, and man, Boise State kind of took it to them, showed me something. Hey, last year, Boise State 44, UNLV 20. Oh my goodness, they broke my heart. So it's like, okay, what's the difference between last year and this year? Well, what difference is, well, one thing that's different is UNLV had a quarterback started out hot coming in, and now they're playing a backup. Hey, it looks like they really hadn't has to beat. You take that one loss. It was a game that actually controlled against Syracuse. I got it up on the graphics, but look at what Boise State's done in the last, we're going to say 3 games. I'm not going to count even they couldn't be stopped even against Oregon, number 1 team in the country, mind you. That's pretty nice. But look, 45 against Washington State, 62 against Utah State, 28 against Hawaii. Folks, they went up, got off the airplane, played the game, and come home. So that's why they didn't score nearly as much as they should. They have a Heisman hopeful, Genty. The man is on pace to break Barry Sanders' rushing record. And folks, I don't see, if you look at what UNLV, yes, it was a win against Oregon State, but they gave up 3 touchdowns to rushing touchdowns to their running back. And I'm sorry, Genty's the best running back in the country, in my opinion, as of right now. Playing again, and they're going to be hungry. Hey, they had the week off. They're going to be fresh. Boise State, yes. Funny things happen in UNLV. I remember it was a decade or so ago. It was the UNLV game. It was they had a game. Wisconsin was blowing them out, right? And all of a sudden, the lights went out. So everybody, and then they canceled the game because somehow somebody didn't know how the lights got turned off. So yes, and all the bets got canceled off that. So if you had a Wisconsin ticket, you were covering, you were going to win. No, Guido in the back cut the lights and all the plays. So yes, funny things can happen, and it's a Friday night at that, but I don't think anything's going to happen, and I think Boise State's going to come in. I think they're going to get a comfortable victory and say, listen, even if this is tied close near the end, I think Boise State will just wear the Rebels down by the time they play. And look, again, they're going to be the fresher team. UNLV had to play a physical team last week, and now they got to go up against another physical team. And I think Boise State's just going to outscore UNLV to point. And yes, the hook can be worrisome, the home field can be worrisome, but I'm going to have my faith in the ball control of Boise State. keeping the ball safe, giving it to their Heisman hopeful. He's got the stage, folks. And you don't think Boise State wants to put him in a front running? You give him a primetime game in front of people against a what could be a top 25 team. They're going to give him the ball, give it to him often, and you know what? He's going to make the most of it. So that's why I think the Boise State's going to cover the 3.5 rather easily on my first Friday night picks. Friday Daddy says take Boise State minus 3.5. Yes, sir. Oh yeah, and hey, folks, if you hadn't had a Fry Daddy special of the French fries, I make sure they're cooked. We don't skimp on the Peach County Division games, folks. We want people to order. And hey, I guess I'm doing it right, Mr. 411, because they keep coming back for more. Hey, I sell out my fries every night.
As they should, calculator. As they should.
All right, so hey, the next one, this one, hey, I'll be coming home. This is I had the wrong. I said 12 p.m. This is actually a night game as well, and I believe this is the 10:30 game. So I will be settled in on the couch. I will have taken my shower. I'll be getting all the fry stuff off of me, so I could sit down and watch me a little West Coast football. Rutgers Knights at the USC Trojans. Hey, Rutgers have been good to us early on. We won a Rutgers Virginia Tech cover. We won a Rutgers Washington cover. But folks, look at these. If you look at the last two games that the Rutgers have played, and I'll just go to the last two, they had a bunch of defensive injuries after that slugfest with Nebraska 3 weeks ago, and all they've done is they've given up 42 to Wisconsin. They've given up 35 to bottom dweller UCLA, and now they got to go up against a frustrated Lincoln Riley. Hey, Lincoln Riley and the USC Trojans are the classic. You play them at home, you fade them away. And the thing is, it's been back and forth. They travel all the way to Michigan, they get a loss. They travel back home to Wisconsin, gets an easy cover. They go back across this country, play in Minnesota, they lose. They come back home, play Penn State, a great thing. Should have won the game. Hey, they showed me all I needed to because I bet I faded them against Penn State, and USC should have won that game, even though they lost. Went back across to the east, lost to Maryland. Well, guess what? They're back home. So, hey, it's, you back them at home, you fade them away. I'm going to go back. I'm going to back them at home. And, hey, they're going against Maryland. They're going against Rutgers. Yes, that loss to Maryland kind of going to sit in the mouth. It was a close. They had 4 turnovers to Maryland. Maryland, it was their Super Bowl. They were all hyped up. I'm sorry, Rutgers are going to come in. They're wounded. They're just decimated. They are not going to get enough stops against a motivated USC fan base at home, folks. I think USC wins by 3 touchdowns, much less than the 2. We're only giving up 2 touchdowns. So yes, another Friday night special. Hey. And we know about those East Coast to West. Rutgers got the benefit of having the home body clock on a Friday night when they beat Washington. It's going to be a different story. It's going to be the USC taking advantage of the body. That's got to be at least 3 or 4 points, in my opinion. And then again, a Friday night, USC is going to want to show that it's like, hey, the USC's back. They're at home. Hey, we know they're not really playing for anything. They're playing for pride at this point. But hey, I think they're going to have enough in the tank at home. Rutgers again. Defensive injuries all over the place. They're not going to be able to keep up with the USC. So I think USC is going to score early, going to score often, and I think they're going to easily cover the 14. I think I might feel so good enough this one. I might have to, I'll be exhausted by the time halftime gets there from my concession stand duty. So I might be asleep, but hey, hopefully they'll have a big enough lead where I can take a sleep and sleep good, knowing that USC is going to cover the 14. Yes, sir. Next one, we got to go to Saturday. And I say, calculator. We don't have a 12 o'clock game. That's right. I don't have a 12 o'clock game, folks. I'm not going to if I cannot find a clear edge, I'm not going to give you guys anything. That's why I said, hey, I felt good about the Friday night games. That's why I'll get 2 Friday nights game. Unfortunately, I don't like any of the 12 o'clock games. So, hey, we're going straight to 3:30 Northern Wildcats at Iowa Hawkeyes. Yes, the Iowa Hawkeyes. Fade them. Yeah, they're a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde team. But you know what about this one? They're going to be at home. And you know what? Northwestern, again, what can Iowa do? Iowa didn't do it against Michigan State. Michigan State, I thought Iowa could play their type of game. Michigan State's mobile quarterback was able to get out of the pocket, keep them off balance, keep chains moving in Michigan State. Sorry, folks. This is in Ames, Iowa. They're going to be mad. They're playing the Northwestern Wildcats, who frankly, if you look at their three of their last four losses, they've only scored 3 points against a Wisconsin team. They got demolished by Indiana, got beat bad by Washington. Heck, in my opinion, should have lost to Maryland. Again, we took Maryland in that one, but 4 turnovers by a careless Maryland team. And if Iowa doesn't turn the ball over, yeah, their defense gave up to Michigan State. Folks, the Northwestern quarterback cannot create on the run like Michigan State. So what is Iowa going to do? They're going to clamp down. Northwestern going to run the ball first, second, third. They're going to clamp down. They're going to do the bow constrictor. They're going to play what we call, like people from the Top Gun day, Iceman. They're going to play Iceman football. They're going to play their game and wait until Northwestern makes a mistake, and then boom, they're going to capitalize. So yes, it's still a big number for an Iowa team that doesn't score a lot, but I'm sorry. They're at home. They can move the ball. And I'm sorry, in Caleb Johnson, we trust. He has 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns. This is going to be a big game for him because, again, they're mad, they're frustrated, and they're going to take it out on Northwestern this weekend. So take your Iowa Hawkeyes against Northwestern to cover that 14. Uh-oh. And Mr. 411, we talk about.
And you know what that means?
Yes, sir. It is smelly line time. Folks, you cannot get more smelly when I'm going to tell you. Folks, the BYU Cougars at the UCF Knights. Okay, we got an BYU undefeated, number 11 in the standings, tied for first place in the Big 12. They're going against a 3-4 team coming off of 4 straight-up losses, 1-3 against the spread in 3 of those games. So guess who's favored? The team that's 3-4. I can't believe it, folks. I say, oh my God, what? You can't get more smelly than that. Yes, I know BYU opened up at 1. It's moved. Oh man, all the money came in. I said, what in the world are the wise guys doing? I said, I got to investigate because I was going to pound BYU if I was getting them as a pick 'em, much less getting 2 extra points. But first, the wise guys are looking at the underlying metrics show that BYU has won 3 games this year where they were outgained and outplayed in every facet except the scoreboard. All right. History shows that something like that cannot be sustainable. On the flip side, the 3 of UCF's 4 losses, UCF has edges in yards, time of possession, field position, but just got the plain loss. Folks, most recently, that one just slipped away last week when they basically for 3 quarters outplayed the other team tied for number 1 in sin at Iowa State, folks. Yeah, and Iowa State went in, got the 10 points, came in with a win, folks. It's going to be, UCF's at home. So guess what? I'm going to talk about body clocks again. BYU's got to travel cross country, right? And folks, yeah, it might not be hot, but it's still humid in Central Florida. All right, yeah. I think if anybody watched that Friday night game, you got to have it. There has to be an emotional letdown. They trailed that whole game, and with 10 seconds left, scored that 36-yard touchdown. Place was going, folks, to get me pumped up sometimes, I can just watch that replay and over because there ain't nothing getting more pumped up than when you see a last-second touchdown and people going crazy on national television, folks. But hey, this is letdown city because not only is a letdown after emotional win, they got to do it cross country. And I'm telling you, the smelly line, I'm going with the smelly line. Yes, I know I'm getting a negative closing line value because I could have gotten BYU at a pick 'em at the first time. But by the time I did my research, there was so much more money that came on BYU. I said, I got to get it before it goes all the way to 3. I don't think it's going to go to UCF 3 because I think that's where the buyback will come. I think the books, if before it might go to 2.5 or whatever, it will not go to 3 because they'll start pumping up the VIG before they give up the 3 and cause a buyback. But right now, so I'm going to give up the 2 because I think UCF wins a close win due to the BYU body clock, emotional letdown. Everything's pointing to UCF and I like Jefferson, the quarterback for UCF. So I'm taking UCF in that one. Give up the 2. Oh, I think there's something else on the next one, isn't there, Mr. 411? It's a 7 o'clock game.
Big win. Epic win.
Yes, sir. The True TV primetime game. That's right, folks. We're going to the special that a lot of people don't care about. But hey, Utah State at Wyoming. Let me tell you, why am I picking two teams that are 1-6 on the year? Let me show you something if you can look at the graphic and look what I'm seeing. All right, we'll just go to the last 3 games of Utah State. They got 30 points against in a loss at Boise. Hey, Boise, top team. They 34, yes, it was a loss against UNLV, a top team. University of New Mexico, middle of the team, but they still scored 45 points. On the flip side, Wyoming against an below average Air Force team, they won 31-19. Okay, that's pretty good. But their last 2 games, a bad San Diego State team, they lost, only scoring 24 points. And we were up on San Jose State, but folks, we'll talk about the San Jose only giving up 14 points to a Wyoming team, and San Jose has showed that they are susceptible against good offenses. Folks, one thing that's going to happen, Utah State has the better offense than Wyoming, and Utah State has a defense kind of the same on Wyoming. So yes, Laramie in Wyoming, great home field advantage for when they had good teams. They do not have a sustainable offenses. Their only win is against a very bad Air Force team. Hey, Utah State ain't that good, but hey, some of their losses were against good quality teams, and even those losses, they showed they can score points. Folks, I love this because it could be a back and forth game. Even if it is, I'm only giving up 1 point, and I think Utah State wins the game outright. And that's why I'm making it my jackpot, because I think not only does Utah State cover the 1, I think Utah State wins by at least a touchdown, because they're just going to play every time Wyoming scores, Utah State's going to score. And while Wyoming possibly kicking a field goal, Utah State's going to score touchdowns. Utah State, what do? They score, and they score touchdowns. All right, Penn State, Wisconsin. Folks, I put it there. This is a look-ahead spot on the road. That's the only thing. We take Penn State. We always say if Penn State is playing a team not named Michigan, coached by Jim Harbaugh, and a Penn State team that's not playing an Ohio State team, this matchup for one reason and one reason only. If you look at the Penn State's last 5 games, yes, they're coming off a bye. Did not look impressive against USC. Did not cover against UCLA. Did not cover against Illinois, because they were favored by pretty good. But I'm sorry, this with Wisconsin, and also Wisconsin, you can say, oh well, calculator. Wisconsin, they're playing with a backup quarterback. Van Pelt, the transfer from Miami's hurt. Well, folks, Locke, who was the original starter before the transfer, has played pretty good. He's played ball control, and just look at the numbers on the last 3 games. Blowout against Purdue, blowout against Rutgers, controlled the game from beginning to end against Northwestern. So, folks, Wisconsin is going to be at home. They're going to be rocking. They're going to be playing that jump around in the fourth quarter, and I think they're going to be rocking. And I think they're going to have Penn State on the road. And you know what? Penn State's going to say, hey, we just need to get a win. Let's keep it close. Let's kick a field goal at the end of the game and come out with a win. And so we can, because they want to be healthy for that Ohio State game. So I look at this being kind of like one of those blow for blows. Penn State playing velvet vanilla. They're going to do their Aller to Warren connection to move the sticks. Singleton's going to get his yards every now and then, but Wisconsin's been playing really good defense. They have not given up more, as you saw, not more than a touchdown in the last 3 games. So I think the Wisconsin defense clamps down on the Penn State to the point where they can keep it close and keep it within the number. Love Wisconsin at home getting 6.5. So take Wisconsin. And hey, I wouldn't be surprised for an outright win, but hey, I'm going to take the 6.5 and play it on the safe side. So take your Wisconsin Badgers plus 6.5 on your 7 o'clock game. All right, folks, this right here, I like to tell a story. And I want to tell a story how records don't tell the whole story. You never want to judge a book by its cover. And folks, the Duke Blue Devils 6-1. You can say, "Oh my gosh, Duke Blue Devils, they're 6-1. Why in the world are I can get a 6-1 team getting 11.5 points, folks? That's about as misleading as you get. Duke's schedule. I have highlighted it on 2 separate occasions on this podcast, folks. They have played one team this year, Duke has, that has been ranked in the top 5 with a power in the top 5 in the top 50 power rankings in NCAA football. And folks, that was Georgia Tech. And guess what happened when they played a top 50 team in the power rankings? They lost by double digits. That's right. And if I remember correctly, 411, we advised on our podcast, on our show on October 3rd, you can fact check me. I encourage people to fact check me by going and looking at our picks. We advised on that show. That was one of our picks. We said take Georgia Tech because Duke has not proven anything. And guess what? Georgia Tech was -9. That's right. Georgia Tech by 10. We did that. Yes. Okay. You say, hey, Duke, they're riding high. They beat FSU last week for the first time in their program history. Folks, in that game, yeah, they won. They had less than 200 total yards in the game, needed 4 turnovers, needed a turnover for a touchdown to just, beat a very soft FSU game. Hey, I'm an FSU fan. I'll call it like I see it. FSU's been very disappointing. Oh, yeah, and FSU's trying to get their backup quarterback more playing time because that's who the guy I think they're going to try and go with if they don't find anybody in the portal. So that was kind of like a preseason game from FSU, still trying to figure things out. Hey, I'll give Duke credit. They won straight up. But guess what? Most teams, you have 82% cover rates if you're playing a team that gives up 4 turnovers in college football. So, hey, take all that out. I'll give you some trends to help you out. Since 2017, conference home dogs of 10 or more points coming in off of a conference win, which Duke did, all right, they only are covering, they are 45 and 85 against the spread, which is a 34.6%, all right? Let me tell you again. They only cover 34.6%. Folks, that's a fade Duke trend right there. Okay, let's look at FSU. Let's look at SMU. If you are a conference favorite of 6.5 points, the spread's 11.5 at this point, and you're coming off 2 straight against the spread wins, and your opponent is coming off a win as a home favorite, the cover rate for that team, which is SMU, is 39 and 17. Folks, that's a 70% clip to back SMU. And guess, one of the things I like the best, lastly, year to date, SMU has played the number 34 strength of schedule. They are number 18 in the country at a 1.64 yards per play, whereas Duke's strength of schedule, I'll point it out again, number 76. Folks, that's almost a 40% discrepancy, right? 76% schedule, ranked 52 in the country at a negative 2.32 yards per play. That is just astonishing, folks, on just those underlying metrics. So, hey, the trends, the underlying metrics, this shows my number is 14. So I'm only giving up 11.5. I feel comfortable. Duke comes back down to earth. They're playing one of the better new ACC teams, SMU. Duke says, welcome to SMU, while SMU's walking off the field with a win, right? So, yeah, welcome to the ACC. So, yeah, SMU wins by 11.5. So that's my picks. But Mr. 411, there are 3 things you believe in. Do you want to say that, or do you want me to go with that on the 3 things 411 believes in? The man upstairs. Yep. Without that, everything is possible. That's right. Mr. 411 believes in the man upstairs. And Santa Claus. Mr. 411's been believing in Santa Claus. Hey, we got to believe in Santa Claus, because if you don't believe in Santa Claus, you don't get the nice things at the end of the stocking. And yes, Mr. 411 and yours truly, we always believe in Dr. Sachs. Hey, we know Dr. Sachs, the algorithm's always working, algorithms just been off, a hair off lately. But hey, this week, folks, we really like the James Madison Dukes. They're going to pick it up. Hey, it's one of those James Madison minus 24 against your Southern Miss Eagles. Folks, what does the algorithm say? Algorithm says Southern Miss is bad. The algorithm says James Madison is okay, but the algorithm really says James Madison is really good against bad teams. We saw with James Madison ever since they put up that 70 burger against North Carolina, I think they kind of started reading the press clippings, right? And then they had that shocking loss to University of Louisiana Monroe. But hey, I think they said, okay, now we're going to take a team that is struggling in Southern Miss. We're only giving up it's a key number, so luckily that hook isn't in there yet. Hook could get in there soon, but I think anything under 4 touchdowns, James Madison, you can feel James Madison, because Southern Miss has not been the same since old Brett Favre left town. So I'm going to take James Madison to win an easy one against the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. So yes, trust the algorithm, trust the model, trust Dr. Sachs. James Madison covers the 24 this weekend. And folks, I think that is it. With that said, I want to thank all you guys for tuning in. And with that said, I'll also, thanks the producer for doing his thing behind the scenes, always doing his thing. And you know what? At the end, we always like to say, here's to you, Bo. Mr. Producer, play a song.